Beginning with the principle at stake in a democracy, laws are not sacred tablets handed down from on high. They're human artifacts subject to scrutiny, challenge and reform. And the true test of democracy is where the citizens, subjects and politicians alike are willing to confront laws they believe to be wrong, and whether the justice system can distinguish between genuine threats to public safety and mere expressions of conscience. Humza Yousaf's call for Scotland's Lord Advocate, therefore, to issue guidance against prosecuting non-violent supporters of Palestine Action is not an attack on the rule of law, as the Telegraph claims today. It is precisely the kind of democratic contest that keeps law legitimate. And the core of Humza's argument is that Palestine Action is a banned organisation prescribed under terrorism law. Membership or support is a criminal offence punishable by up to 14 years. Yousaf doesn't defend the group's illegal actions, nor does he call on people to support the group. He doesn't defend the group's illegal actions such as breaking into RAF bases or damaging property. His concern is narrower, that pensioners, priests and ordinary citizens are being arrested for wearing a T-shirt, holding a placard or voicing peaceful solidarity. He argues that prosecuting such symbolic expression fails the international human rights test of necessity and proportionality, and he is not alone. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Amnesty International and the Scottish Human Rights Commission have all raised alarms about the chilling effect of criminalising peaceful protest under the broad banner of counter-terrorism. The Daily Telegraph is wrong for four major reasons. Firstly, the principle of the rule of law versus public interest. A broad title here. The Telegraph insists Yousaf is undermining the rule of law, but the rule of law is not synonymous with blind enforcement. Every prosecutor in the UK operates under the public interest test. If that were not the case, our courts would be clogged with petty prosecutions of no value. The Lord Advocate himself has previously declared that prosecuting drug possession inside Scotland's safer consumption room is not in the public interest. That was not undermining the law, it was the law functioning sensibly. Yousaf, the second point is about the independence of prosecution. Yousaf didn't order or command, he requested guidance. He explicitly acknowledged prosecutional independence. To characterise this as interference is to misread both tone and substance. Politicians routinely call for prosecutors to prioritise certain crimes. Think of domestic abuse or hate crime. Think indeed of the prosecution of Lucy Connolly last year. That is not scandalous, it is democratic debate. Thirdly, free expression and proportionality. Arresting a man in Glasgow for wearing a T-shirt that says "Free Palestine, take action" is not about protecting the public from terrorism, it's about criminalising dissent. And the Telegraph fails to grapple with the fact that human rights law requires restrictions on speech to be necessary, proportionate and directed at a legitimate aim. A placard is not a pipe bomb. And there is historical precedent. The fourth point, many laws are now celebrated, or many laws that were celebrated were once defied. Many laws that we celebrate now were once defied. Trade unions, suffragettes, anti-apartheid activists, all were criminalised at the time. By Telegraph logic, their defenders undermined the rule of law. In reality, they strengthened democracy by exposing unjust statutes, Clause 28, and so on. The poll tax. The democratic importance of debate cannot be overestimated. A democracy works through contest. If a law is wrong, whether it is the prescription of a campaign group, the scope of counter-terror powers, or the definition of protest, it must be challenged openly. That is not undermining the system, but keeping it accountable. The Telegraph treats the law as something static beyond criticism, yet the law's authority derives from its moral legitimacy. When peaceful pensioners are arrested under terrorism law, that legitimacy is eroded. Calling for restraint is not dangerous, refusing to question excess is. And possibly one needs to look back at the imposition of this restriction, of this constraint on the Palestinian Action group. It was a knee-jerk response without proper and serious debate. Humza Yousaf is not saying ignore the law, he's saying apply it with judgment, with humanity, and in line with Scotland's human rights obligations. He is asking whether arresting a playwright for a slogan or a pensioner for a t-shirt truly makes us safer. The Telegraph's charge of undermining the rule of law is misplaced. What undermines the rule of law is using counter-terror powers to silence peaceful expression. What strengthens it is precisely what Yousaf has done: question, debate, and seeking principled guidance. That is how democracy breathes.